just, you guys can keep eating, and go ahead and enjoy the food, the limited food that we have, but we don't want to take any left, so make sure you take care of that for you. My name is George Garcia. I'm VP of SPS at UTPA, so we're really excited for today's event. I'm sure all of us here are. At the UTPA campus, we have myself, Sean, and Gabriel. So there's only a few of us on the undergrad side, and I've met a lot of you already. So it's good to know that there's such a big group over here at UTV. But it's going to be cool to see what happens here within the next few years with what's going on with the campuses, and everybody's kind of giving different timelines as far as like how soon it's going to happen. But it's cool that we got to get something started between the campuses before even anybody else does. So there's nothing in the rule books as far as the national committees in physics are concerned. So we can stretch our borders as much as we want to. So in a few minutes, Dr. Tidgell is going to give kind of a brief history of Sigma Pi Sigma. But I want to thank all the family that came out to support and all the faculty that came out to support. Hopefully this is just the beginning of many inductions to come. We were told by the national office that actually it had been over 40 years since the last induction ceremony of Sigma Pi Sigma for UTPA anyway. I'm not sure about the UTV campus, but so they gave us the go-ahead to do both campuses together, so I'm glad they did, because then it would be kind of a smaller group. So. But we're really interested in getting to know you guys further throughout the next year. I know a lot of this was pretty sudden, but we still have some more time to kind of work closer together and see what some common goals might be between SPS organizations and things like just kind of getting all of our students well equipped for things like grad school, or everybody's got to worry about the GREs, and even aspects like outreach is a big one. Service to the community, those kind of things. So definitely, the more people in the group to kind of pioneer that stuff down here, the better. So hopefully a few of you will be sticking around, and we'll be able to work closer together. Do you have a question for me?
No, I just wanted to bring something up to the fact that the merger coming up. We're going to get the officers from both of them.
Right. Okay. So exactly. So once, of course, the Office of Student Development gets involved, then there will be some advisors will have to meet together and do some, how is this going to work out kind of thing. So like I said, it's interesting. It's an interesting switch over to what's going to happen soon. But again, I'm glad you guys can make it tonight, and congratulations to everybody that's being inducted. It's definitely something to be excited about, and not a lot of us could, or I guess in the sense of academic accomplishment, we are kind of a smaller group than even an already small group. So I hope you guys enjoy.
So the next part of this is to talk a little bit about Sigma Pi Sigma, which we're all here tonight. And Mr. Garcia, I want to thank him as he and his counterpart, Martin, worked hard to get this organized, to put it together to a national level that we could combine as one ceremony and have everybody together. Again, Mr. Garcia let you know that it had been since 1969 that actually UTPA had its last ceremony. So this is a big deal for the two institutions. Of course, we have a long tradition together, whether everybody knows that or not. We were at one time one institution. We became two institutions, and then there was a merger between TSC and UTD in the beginning, so they worked together, and now there's a separation going on there, is my understanding, and it looks like we'll come back together as a So it's great to see that the students are working alongside one another from the two institutions. I know the faculties are also getting together, working alongside each other to try to make some transitions that make things better for future students. And so I always like to say, appreciate what y'all do. Y'all may have had some difficulties. You need to let us know what those difficulties are, whether they're SPS related, or whether they're Pi Sigma related, or whether they're physics related, because when they're brought to our attention, we try to find solutions to those. I'm sure UTP folks are the same way. And we want y'all to be successful. So Pi Sigma has a long history. Anybody know that any of that history? Okay, so we're all going to go through this together. Okay. How many of y'all think, and don't raise your hands, it's okay. How many of y'all think SPS is Pi Sigma, or Pi Sigma is SPS? They're not. They're separate. They're two separate things, but they're in some way connected. Okay. So we're going to learn about some things. Again, they're linked, but they're not the same thing, right? So one is an honor society, and it actually formed back about 1921 at Davidson College. And I'm not going to bore you too much, but you can read the how many of us there are and the two separate entities. But we started SPS in Davidson College, and it was brought about to do what? Honor scholarship, encourage interest in physics, promote service, provide fellowship. Everybody knows what those words are, right? What they mean. So that's really what this organization, Pi Sigma, is about. Okay, and some of you may end up being as physicists all your lives. Some of you may end up going into other fields, but you'll always belong to this organization in some fashion. Okay, and this is what your charter is for the rest of your lives if you sign in the little red book later. Okay, in the induction ceremony. Okay, so we'll be going through this history, and then I believe we'll have another speaker, is that correct? And then I'll get up and we'll have an induction ceremony where you sign in a little red book and you'll be given a little article to walk away with. Okay? And you can see right there, I think, 1921, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, yes. And anybody heard of Davidson College? I hadn't either. Okay? I didn't know it was in North Carolina, although I have some family there that could come about that. But that's where it started. And so there was a person at Davidson that went to a conference, and there was a famous person, we'll talk about him in a few minutes, Dr. White from Penn State University, that saw this person and said, you know, what you've done is exactly what we want to do. And so a few years later, he took off with the idea. Dr. Marsh White, and he created what's called Pi Sigma Honor Society. Okay, in Penn State. How many of y'all know Penn State? Ah, it's a big school now, right? Okay. Right. And so they've been the leader in this, and then historically a little later there was a merger, and this is a little bit about Dr. White, so you can read some of the history of Dr. White. He ran the organization for quite some time, and then there was a merger. How many of y'all know American Institute of Physics? Heard of that? Okay. How about Society of Physics Students? Okay. How about Pi Sigma? Are they all the same thing? No. Okay. So AIP is actually the organization that's kind of the center of all of these things. And SPS is kind of the host to Pi Sigma, but they're separate entities still. And AIP, Pi Sigma, and SPS, you know where they're headquartered? College Park, Maryland. Okay, just off the campus of University of Maryland at College Park on One Circle Drive. So there's a big organization that supports us. Okay, that's who we report to, and that's where we get our charter from, even though we have to also go through our schools for those charters. They're the big organization. Okay, so that combination, our merger occurred in, right there, 1968. I couldn't remember it, so I had to flip to that page myself. The merger occurred in 1968, and there was a merger. And that actually helped the organization to solidify things. You know, it's kind of like maybe the growth of our two universities together again. We'll be stronger together than we are separately, and that's what happened with AIP, SPS, and Sigma Pi Sigma. And so they got organizationally stronger out there, more committed folks like yourselves who are going to go out now and do great things in the world, and you're going to help make people enthusiastic about physics, show what physicists do, show them the scholarship that we have, whether that's written or scholarship in terms of the things we do in everyday life. Okay? So don't think you're getting off lightly when you take this pledge, right? This is a serious business. It's not like, oh, it's going on my resume and it does great things for me. No, you have to do lots of work for it, okay? In some fashion. Then there were congresses held. Anybody know what a congress is? Yeah, something like the Congress in the state capital, as well as the Congress in the federal capital, right? No? Oh, okay. It's a big meeting, okay, to talk about things. And so Congresses have been growing. We haven't been active. We haven't been as active as we like. We did send some students from SPS to the American Physical Society when it was here in Texas, and we would like to be getting more active with SPS and the American Physical Society activities in the state regionally. Okay? And so it's a great opportunity to work together to do those kinds of things. Kinds of service. What kinds of service? Oh, these kind of sound like what we do with SPS as well, right? How many of the SPS folks here? Do you go out to public schools and talk to students, give presentations, do a chemistry show, something like that? Okay.
Yes.
Right. We do that as well as planetarium outreach, that kind of thing. So we work with the astronomy folks as well. We have SPS folks that are in astronomy. Anybody over there astronomers? Oh, and you're SPS too. How about that? They're related. Okay. All right. And then you're going to find out that you can, once you're a member, there's a website, you can get into the networking. There's lots of people across the country that you can network with. If you need to go somewhere,